Good day and welcome to the Origsburg Area Free Public Library. Today I'm going to read a book called Some Dog by Mary Casanova, and the pictures were done by Ard Hoyt. Some Dog. George had a very good life. When the woman read the newspaper, George had a place to rest his weary head. When the man chopped wood, George studied 1,000 cents in the wind. And when they went fishing, George, who couldn't swim, rode in the middle, steady and still. "You're some dog," said the woman. "Some dog," said the man. But the day another dog arrived, everything changed. "He must be a stray," said the woman. "He looks like he's here to stay," said the man. "Woo, woo, woo," cried George. "Woo, woo." Like a jackrabbit, the stray leaped back and forth. Yippity yap yap, yip yip yip. And then he zipped around the room 3 times. "What a lively dog," said the woman. "We'll call him Zippy." "Ya yippity yappity, yip yip yip." Now, when the newspaper arrived, Zippity snatched it, flew over the couch, and dropped it at the woman's feet. She said, "Good dog." When the man chopped wood, Zippity backflipped and caught sticks in the air. Amazing! When the man and the woman biked to the corner store, Zippity ran ahead with the grocery list. By the time they arrived, the shop owner had the groceries packed and ready to go. What a dog! There's George. When they all went fishing, Zippity jumped from George's back from lap to lap until he dove, caught a fish, and swam to shore. That Zippity is some dog. Yippity, yippity, yip, yip, yip. That night at dinner, George was too tired to beg for food. At bedtime, he was exhausted, but Zippity snored. Zeep, 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 in his sleep. One day, George smelled rain in the wind. Before long, thunder grumbled. It was boom, boom, clang, clang, rumble, rumble. George didn't mind, but with each clap of thunder, Zippity raced in crazy circles. He plinked, he chewed, he dashed, he crashed, until finally the lady said, "Out!" Rain pounded down, wind shook the treetops. Then, boom, a cracking clang, Zippity was gone. "He'll get lost. It's a terrible storm." But George thumped his tail. At last he had his bed all to himself. "George," begged the woman, "go find Zippity." George stretched and groaned. "Oh, come on, George," the man pleaded. "Here, George, smell this." George studied Zippity's blanket. If there was one thing George could do, it was follow a smell. Through the whipping wind and needle rain, George led the way. Nose to the ground, he sniffed and he whiffed and he snorted and he twitched. He smelled 1,000 scents, but followed only one. Past a farmhouse in shambles, a clothesline, and a thorny brambles, George tracked the scent. When the man and the woman turned back, George pressed on, following his nose. Up steep steps and down he went to the top of a seesaw, to the ground again. Along a slippery rail, over rotted pines, down along the valley through the swampy, murky mire. George kept going until his nose led him to a shivering, shaking, wet, quaking. Zippity! Stuck in the oozy muck. Ooh! Zippity whimpered, Zippity whined. He twisted and he turned and he wiggled and he turned. But the harder he tried to reach the bank, the deeper and deeper and deeper he sank. Woo! Cried George. Then George stretched himself across a log. He grabbed Zippity's collar and held fast. Slow and steady, steady and slow. George tugged and pulled and pulled and tugged until out Zippity plopped. Yah, yippity, yippity, yip, yip, yip. Zippity was happy. The dogs touched noses. Then George led the way. He sniffed and he whiffed and he snorted and he twitched, following the trail through the swampy, murky mire, over a rotted pine, down a slippery slide, until... "It's Zippity," they cried. "You found him. Oh, George, you're some dog," said the man. "Our dog," said the woman. From that day on, George and Zippity got along just fine. George always had a place to rest his weary head, and every day he studied 1,000 cents in the wind. And when they all went fishing, George rode in the middle, steady and still. And most nights, George didn't mind sharing. Zip, 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 even in his sleep. Some dog. Wish we all had a dog like this. Thank you for coming, letting us share this story and letting us come into your home.